It's Bob and Tom Tonight, starring Chick McGee, Christy Lee, Josh Arnold, Ace Cosby, Pat Godwin, Willie Griswold, and Tom Griswold.
The royal beekeeper was required to inform the palace bees of Queen Elizabeth's passing in an unusual ritual.
What?
Yep, Mr. John Chappell, the official palace beekeeper, broke the news to the bees at the hives on the grounds of Buckingham Palace and Clarence House. The ritual also involved the 79-year-old telling the insects that their new master, King Charles III, would now be in charge.
What?
Black ribbons were then tied in bows on the hives. The publication explains the ritual is based on a superstition that not informing the bees about a new owner would lead to them not producing honey, abandoning the hive, or dying.
I can't see why they don't want them to run the country anymore with that kind of logic. Well, we decided to attack via Normandy because the bees think it's a good idea.
Wow. That's interesting.
A good day's work. We've informed the bees.
Yes.
Well done.
Boy, were they stinging mad.
No, they were a buzz.
They were a buzz.
They were.
They just would not shut up.
Oh, the hives are at half-mast.
Yes, I am John Chappell.
You know, we could learn from the bees.
Humility,
dignity,
work ethic.
Each worker has his own job and takes care of it.
They have to tell the corgis also, though.
Oh, they do?
Start dragging their butts in that expensive carpet.
Oh, boy.
I suppose there's any wall-to-wall carpeting in the palace.
You know.
No. No.
Queen Elizabeth came up with the breed, the Dorgie. It's a dachshund corgi.
What? Are you serious?
It's in constant pain.
That's what they said. Oh, it's God's mistake.
My back!
This is something new that's somewhat newsworthy. So let's give it a listen. And this is with all due respect.
Oh God!
With all due respect to Mr. Steve Martin, and here we go.
When Charles was a young prince, he never thought he'd be king. Finally ruling England at the age of 73. King Chuck. The Queen was his mama. Lucky Chuck. She used the ox for comma. Born in the royal palace, hands never callous. King Chuck. Now that his mama's gone, I hope he doesn't fail. What exactly did he do as the fancy Prince of Wales? King Chuck. His teeth and ears look big and funny. Will they fit on stamps and money? Born in the royal palace, hands never callous. King Chuck. The Queen, she had her corgis. Prince Andrew had his orgy. He's wild, that brother Andy. On Epstein Island, dude got randy. Prince Harry moved for good out to Hollywood. King Chuck. Charles loves the polo ponies. King Chuck. And dressing up for ceremonies. King Chuck. He wears a kilt, please don't stare. King Chuck. He's not wearing underwear. Finally gets to rule, cause he's got the family jewels. King Chuck. He married Diana, they had a castle and a villa. But all the time he dreamed about the homely one, Camilla. Couldn't wait to get his hands on Horny Chuck.
Oh no.
Said he'd like to be her tampon. Born in the royal palace, has the royal phallus. He's so old it won't be long, we'll have to write another song. King Will.
King Will. There you go. A little bit of a tribute to King Chuck.
Well,
very nice.
Yes.
Very nice.
And his desire to be a tampon. You'll recall that famous phone call.
Of course, we all remember that. Where?
How romantic. What a poet.
Yeah.
kind of remember where you were when you heard that.
Roses are red, violets are blue. I'd like to be a tampon inside of you. Thank you, Prince. Someday you'll be king.
I think everyone had the same response. He said, What?
Yeah. Not everybody's a poet, in spite of what they say. And the old phrase, there are no bad ideas. Yes, there are. And if you don't believe that, come to any one of our meetings. Once again, on a lighter note, and by the way, apologies to the great Steve Martin. And interestingly enough, did you ever see the original Saturday Night Live version of King Tut?
I didn't. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure I did. I just don't remember it.
He's dressed up
and it's
Egyptian garb.
It is as brilliant can be. The moves, Steve Martin's amazing. But that was the most expensive piece they'd ever done at the time on that show.
Oh, the costumes and the sets. Yeah.
The whole band was dressed up.
Right.
And they had and what is that thing called? Is the thing that opens up?
Sarcophagus?
Is that a sarcophagus? I don't know. The
sax player?
The sax player comes out of the thing.
Perfect.
Yeah, so if you've never seen that, by all means, this obviously was a parody of the famous song King Tut from Mr. Steve Martin. What's on your mind today, Reno?
Well, excuse me. I wrote a little thing, or kind of did. Just another country fried take. Would you like to hear it?
Yes.
I'd love to hear it.
There's a lot going on out there, and I'd like to share with y'all some of my opinions on some of this stuff. So it's my pleasure to serve you up a tasty helping of what I call Reno Collier's country fried take.
All right.
Sad news this week. Queen Elizabeth Part 2 died. Now, some of you may be thinking, why wouldn't an old country boy care about this? Well, I do. I always liked old Liz. Southern people appreciate a good monarchy. We've got rural kings, dairy queens, and royal cola. And we're always crowning and coronating our own folks. You know, like in my town, you could have no less than 10 different highnesses at a time. We had sweet potato queen, lady diecast, Princess partial plates. My grandpa said his neighbor was a queen, but he told me to stay out of that guy's yard. And man, those Brits sure seem to love Queen Elizabeth. She ruled for 70 years. 70. Now, I don't know how English elections work, but if they're every 4 years like ours, that's like 17 times they voted her in. Think about that. And she wasn't just a ruler of England. She lorded over a bunch of silly places. Like she was even the queen of Canada. I always assumed the king and queen of Canada were Wayne Gretzky and Mrs. Butterworth. But my wife, I said that to my wife, and she goes, haven't you seen the queen's face on their money? And it's so weird. I thought that was Barbara Bush. It's not. Now, some folks consider her just a figurehead, and I'm not totally sure what that is. The only time I hear that phrase is when my buddy Dale gets a prostitute on his birthday, and he's like, I tell you what, Reno, a figurehead is in my future tonight. Now, Queen Elizabeth had some tough times, but she always handled them with poise and grace. Our Southern queens had problems too, though, you know. One year after the all-you-can-eat biscuits and gravy breakfast, the lone soil queen crapped herself during the Mother's Day parade right there in the back of Doc Peterson's convertible. You talk about your anus horribilis. All in all, it seems to me like Queen Elizabeth had all the qualities of a true Southern lady. She was strong, bright, a lovely woman who appreciated tradition and manners and family. She provided comfort and warmth in times of bad and reverence and honor in times of good. She will be missed. And as far as the new king's concerned, I'll talk about him in a year or two when his old ass dies. I'm Reno Collier, and that's my country fried take.
Oh, very nice.
Very much, Reno. So there he is. It's Greg Warren. It's great to see you, Greg.
Hi, Greg.
With this week's Warren Report.
This week's topic there, buddy boy.
Chick, we're going to talk about baseball umpires and their history.
Cool.
Yeah. But before I get to that, I went to a baseball game. I went to a Cardinal game last week. A lot of fun. And you know those, like, they have those, like, really pretty girls that dance around on the dugout, and they blow whistles, and they shoot T-shirts into the crowd and get it. Yeah. That's got to be one of the shortest careers in sports right there.
You know, a lot of turnover.
Yeah. Cindy, this is the hardest talk a manager has to have, but you got to face it. You're washed up. You're 22. They can't place for you. I read this quote. It was from a sports writer named Furman Bishop.
Oh, yeah.
Furman Bisher, I'm sorry.
I think he's in Atlanta, right? Or something like that.
You're right, Chick. He is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He said, umpires are submerged in the history of baseball like idiot children in a family album. Wow. I wanted to ask you guys, there's not a lot of pictures of me when I was younger. Is that... are they saying so?
Speaking volumes there, buddy.
Yeah. So back in the day, umpires were not paid. In 1871, the National Association of Baseball Players, basically the visiting team would submit 5 names, and the home team would pick a name, and that's who the umpire would be. It's kind of like the jury selection process. 1859, back in the day, umpires were in rocking chairs.
What?
Yes, this is true.
Yeah,
it probably did wonders for the pace of play. That's strike 2 there. Did I ever tell you boys about the time I had 2 strikes on me and hit a grand slam home run? Myrtle, bring me a glass of Country Time lemonade. I'm gonna sit back here and tell these fellas a story before we get to the next pitch.
There's no looking it up.
Some of the early names in umpiring, 1876, Billy McLean was the first paid umpire.
Oh.
Billy got $5 a game, which was unheard of back then. He was a very honest and trusted guy. 1882, Richard Higham was not an honest and trusted guy. He was banned for, quote, advising gamblers on how to bet when he was umpiring. Boy, that's an awful nice way of saying fixing games.
Now, were they, in the early days, were they calling balls and strikes?
Yes, they were, Tom. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, 1879, the American Association, which later became the American League, hired an actual umpire staff. They paid him $140 a month plus $3 per diem, and endorsements. And then 1880, the National League followed. Some early names in umpiring. Robert Ferguson. He was an iron-fisted autocrat, but a very good umpire. When he played, his nickname was Death to Flying Things.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess he was it was his nickname. I guess he was a really good fielder. So he called Death to Flying Things. Josh, when you were in the competitive eating circuit,
I had a similar nickname, Greg.
Yeah. What were you?
Death to Frying Things.
That's what I thought.
So, onion rings, what have you. Certainly.
If anybody is death to flying things, it should be Randy Johnson as he murdered a seagull with a It was rough on the early umpires. The players routinely spiked, kicked, cursed, and spat on umpires. And this was in the 1800s. I'm not talking about in 1996 when Robbie Alomar spat on umpire John Hirschbeck.
Did he get thrown out of the game?
Oh, yeah, he got in a lot of trouble.
Oh, good.
Incidentally, Christy, him and Hirschbeck are buddies now.
Isn't it funny when that happens?
Really?
Yeah, they're when you spit on a man, eventually you get it.
Sure.
John Gaffney was the king of the umpires. He wasn't like Robert Ferguson. They said he umpired with tact and diplomacy, which I'm not sure diplomacy belongs in a Major League Baseball game umpiring, right?
Right.
See, now Mike here thinks he's out, and Bill thinks he's safe. Guys, I think there's room for some middle ground. How about this time, Mike, you're going to be out, and next time, Bill, it's going to be your turn. I don't think it belongs there. Do you know this? Umpires are required to wear black underwear.
What? I didn't know that.
Why?
Yes. Yeah, because in case they split their pants, it's less obvious.
Wow.
Interesting. Huh.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Which I don't know if it does make sense.
Who's
Christy.
going to see him?
Why don't you just not wear tight pants there? You're a baseball umpire. You're not Leif Garrett in 1977.
Yeah, you're right. Huh. Yeah, give those guys some jogging pants.
Yeah, loosen up your pants a little bit, man. Cy Rigler, of course, you guys are familiar with him. He was the first guy to raise his right hand when he called a strike.
Oh, he was a showman, yeah.
He was a showman, Josh, but not as much of a showman as William J. Lord Byron.
Is that right?
Oh my!
Yeah, Lord Byron. He sang his calls.
Did he?
Which I think is, I'm guessing the one that they tend to ham it up on is this strike 3 call.
Yeah,
and that's bad news to somebody. You don't want to have that senior strike 3. Hey, you're on your way to Triple A.
Oh, yeah, that hurts. Yeah.
You don't want bad news sung ever, do you?
No.
Gonorrhea, you got it from Maria. Those brushes that the umpires brush off home plate. You can get one of those.
You can.
Oh yeah,
really?
Whisk broom, isn't it?
You absolutely can. Yeah.
Well, it's not just a whisk broom.
No, it's a special broom.
Exactly. It's official, chick.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and I've got one. Yeah, sometimes on a first date, when we go to the restaurant and the waiter comes to, with that crumb thing.
Yeah.
No, not. I've got this.
I'll need this later to brush off my balls.
Dust off your
They're a
pants.
little dusty.
I've got this, Sally. You're going to get a kick out of this one.
Oh yeah. Look at this.
Chicks love it.
They're impressed, aren't they?
Is it really? Isn't it just a whisk broom? Is it a special broom, really?
Is it? I thought it was a whisk broom.
It's made by the Franklin Company, probably an old competitor of Josh's, and you can get one, Tom, and it's not the same thing.
How much does it cost? Set me back.
Your bag.
Let me see.
I'll get you one, Christy.
will?
I'll get you one by tomorrow.
$88.
Oh, he's got ump broom money.
Broom money. Oh, they are different than a little whisk broom.
Oh yeah, he tried to
I
tell
get
you.
one for $9.99. Rawlings has one for $9.99.
Fine then, Christy, get your own. Get your own then. Trying to do something nice.
Yeah.
They don't tell you who's the umpiring crew until right before the game. That's because it goes back to the Black Sox scandal. It's a lot harder to bribe the umpires if you don't know who they're going to be.
Sure.
Yeah. Chick, what do you think Major League Baseball umpire makes these days?
Didn't they just go on strike not that long ago? And I'm going to say
several.
And by the way, they went on strike. I mean, it was right there, guys.
I'm going to say
I like it. Did he raise his right hand? I didn't see.
This labor relation issue, what number was it?
Strike 3.
Okay.
I'm going to say 6 figures, 100.5 maybe. No?
Chick, that's starting salary. You nailed it.
Whoa.
150 is starting salary.
Starting 150. Wow.
The crew chiefs, the guys that have been around for a while, $450K.
What?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now,
with 4 weeks paid vacation during the season.
Well,
wow.
Why don't they take a vacation during the off season?
Oh, they do.
We need to get the closer here, Greg.
Yeah, wrap it up.
Well, I don't necessarily have one of those.
All right. Fair enough.
Do you know who Emmett Ashford was?
In closing, umpires are very valuable.
So to sum up,
Merriam-Webster defines umping as
Emmett Ashford was the first black African American umpire.
Oh, yes, really? He was. Yes, he was.
I remember seeing him. And I remember seeing he was great. Seeing him live, and
you saw him live.
1966. That was 20 years after Jackie, and then 1974. Rich Garcia was the first Hispanic umpire. We haven't had a female umpire yet. There's some that have had careers in the minor leagues, but they haven't made it to the majors.
Really?
That's got to be any day
change.
now. I would think,
I hope so.
That'll ruin the game.
Oh, you know what? I knew.
You're right.
Thank you, Josh. That was Josh Arnold. Please send your hate mail directly.
I didn't see if it was a ball or strike. I was too busy having my period.
Oh, stop it.
That's what they'll say. That's what they'll say.
They won't.
Watch the entire show live or on demand at bobandtom.com or listen live with the Bob and Tom app. And be sure to tune in next time for more Bob and Tom Tonight.